All right, moving on to our experiment. So you see PLTW goes right back to experimental design. We went all the way back to unit 1 where we went over the parts of an experiment. And so just for a little check for understandings, I go through this slide and I've added the video in for you guys so you have it. Define blood pressure. Here's the data. There's that one data table that I couldn't copy and paste, so I just took a picture of it, sent it to myself, and did it that way. It was a little easier. Google Slides is a little funky when you're trying to put in like Excel charts or Google Sheets charts. So, but there's the 3 tables. If you couldn't see, over a minute, you can see the different pulses went different heights. Okay, there's a lot of reasons for that. Okay, change in temperature, stress. Okay, being active or just calming down, or just basically how much blood your body needs, per pulse. So there's a lot of things that come into it. Exercise, movement, any of those things. So you can see at the beginning of this time frame, my heart rate, according to the probes, was closer to 90, and then when it leveled out, it went down to 70. Okay, and then here's some factors that can increase or decrease the heart rate and the beat you feel at each pulse. So my heart rate lowered over that time. That's probably because I got more comfortable, relaxed after I was done setting up that particular part of the video. All right, so here's experimental design. Remember, there's 7 parts to an experiment, and you can go right back in PLTW and you can open this up if you want, and it goes over all the specific parts right here. It's a nice easy link, but I want you to fill those in. Identify your problem, predict a solution, come up with a hypothesis, design your experiment, do your experiment, collect and analyze, and that means collecting your data, Then step 5, analyzing your data to see what happened. State your conclusion. Okay, that's the restatement of the hypothesis, and then write your summary where you're going to take an examination of everything. What you could have done differently, what different controls you could have used, etc. So here's my experiment. Please note how I set it up and try to put your thought process maybe in a similar place. So they basically wanted you to come up with an experiment that either does what effect does exposure to extreme temperature, such as cold, have on your heart rate? What effect do changes in physical activity have on your heart rate? And what effect do different body positions have on your heart rate? If we were in the lab, I would probably have you come up with something a little bit easier than this, but just because I'm home and we're all looking for stuff to do, I made a little bit more intuitive lab and tied it into physical education. So we know that someone is considered to be in good cardiovascular condition if after exercise their heart rate returns to resting or close to resting pulse quickly. So the problem is, how will exercise affect heart rate between a 15-year-old girl, as in my daughter, and 44-year-old man, which is me? Okay, and my prediction is that the 15-year-old's heart rate will return to normal after 10 minutes of vigorous walking sooner than a 44-year-old's. And so there's my variables, independent and dependent. I'll skip through. Here's my design. Each person will measure their heart rate before the walk for 3 minutes. That should get us a good resting pulse. Each person will walk 10 minutes vigorously. That's as fast as possible without jogging. Each person will return to the heart rate program as soon as that 10 minutes is up and measure for an additional 3 minutes. And then each person will do this 2 times. So we'll have 2 trials, and then all data tables will be copy and pasted into data slides. So what I'll do is I'll make a quick video of 1 trial, and then you can examine the data. Okay, so part 1, trying to get a resting pulse for me. So this is going to go for 3 minutes. I set the timer for 3 minutes. All right, so I'll hold these for 3 minutes, and interesting little benefit of the program. And so I'll check out now, and then we'll check back in when I'm doing the actual walking. Okay, so now I'm going to go out and do my 10 minutes of walking. I got to say goodbye to my little pup because he's ready to rock too. There he is. And he's just staying in the yard while I go out in the hood and do my walking. Yep. Stay teak. All right. Alright, so I set an alarm for 10 minutes, so I'm going to walk as quickly as I can. I'm not going to video the whole time, obviously, because you guys would want to jump off a bridge after watching this for about 30 minutes. Well, you know, just a little tour of the hood here. It's my neighbors, Severinos. Nice people. Coach K lives up here on the corner. Yep, that's over him. Yep, so if you come up here for Halloween, that's Coach K. This dog, you know, he's aggressive, but he's really a nice dog, actually. You know, go around the corner here. And so control-wise, I can't guarantee that when my daughter's gonna come out here and walk at the same pace I am. And the other thing that's cool about this is a downhill. All right, so when we come around the corner, we'll be going uphill. All right, so Mr. Weinstein's house over here does have cool stories about you guys that are in sports and that do pretty awesome stuff outside of athletics too. So he keeps us posted, keeps our websites up to date. So there's a lot of Windsor connections out here in Enwell. And yeah, so I'm going to complete this 10 minutes. I'm going to have my daughter do a trial. And the other thing about the control is, well, I got wind going right now. Who's to say when she comes out it's going to be windy? It could help her, it could hurt her. It could be raining by the time she gets out here. It's been like that kind of day. I gotta make sure she goes in the same direction that I do, and then at the end of the 10 minutes, gotta hope that she's somewhere close to the house that I would be. So I will tell her to keep her phone on her, keep her timer up, so that she knows to be more close to the house when the 10 minutes nears its end. All right, checking out. I'll see you when I'm doing my heart rate back in the house. Okay, 10 minutes is up. Tico's still outside. And heading back in. Shoes off. My wife will kill me. Tico stays out because his paws need to be wiped. Okay, and I sit down, take my monitors, hit collect, and see where we're at. And I got, whoa, I can't be accurate. There we go. Got 2 laps around the block and down to the end of the street and back while talking for the first part of the video. And so again, what we're going to do is my heart rate is going to start coming back down. Looks like it was up to about 95, maybe even a little higher. I was walking fast. And we'll just see how long it takes to get down to wherever the average was. I haven't really drawn a line or come up with an average, but for the first part, but it was in the 70s, 60s, 70s, and we'll just see how long it takes for it to come down. All right, so I'm going to check out here, and then we'll come back when it's time to do a summary. So I got back, put my data in. My daughter's taking her initials. She needs to stay relaxed. It's hard, but so she's taking her 3 minutes of resting heart rate. We'll take an average of that. She'll do her 10 minutes of vigorous walking, and then we'll do the change from high point to low point for that, because as we learned right away, the 3 minutes is not enough time to return to resting heart rate for me. So that's one control you might bring up in the summary at the end that we could have done better. All right, so check out, and then we'll come back when she's doing her walking. Okay, and so typical me, I forgot you could do statistics on Vernier. And so with hers, I did an average, and I did mine because I went back to it. And so it'll be a little bit more accurate, but the problem is I didn't do it for my first trial post-exercise data. But we will have it for the second trial and for both of my daughter's trials. Okay, so there you go. Kara's off running. She started her, well, not running, walking as fast as she can. She started her 10 minutes. And Tico is still outside. All right, so Kara's, about a third of a way or maybe a little more into her 10 minutes. She's coming up the hill. So this is what you didn't see on my part. good stuff. You know, the other side of the hood, Mr. Natale's house over there, he's good stuff. You know, we got Mr. Maurice, you know, he lives up and around the corner too. And then Mr. Hogan and his girlfriend, they live down the hill a little bit, a couple blocks over. So there's a lot of Windsorites out here in Enwell. So this is, you know, it's not bad, but definitely if you finished your walk coming up the hill, it's going to have an adverse effect on your overall heart rate. But so we're doing vigorous walking. Kara's doing a good job, so I don't gotta say anything to her. But I'll pick it up to make it fair or whatever to give us accurate data. But that's all part of the controls. And again, you can make mention of that when you do write your summaries, because there probably is a way for you to measure your pace and your walking pace, and that would be the most accurate way to have two people walking the exact same pace, the exact same distance for the exact same time would be ideal over many trials. All right, check it out. Trial 1. Okay, Kara is back from her walk and her 10 minutes. And so Bernier's going to start tracking her data. And we'll see what happens here. So heart rate's pretty high right now. It's even off the graph what's set, which is fine. And then it's going to come down. My guess is she'll have a pretty big change, but we'll see. All right, so we'll check back in when the data's collected. Okay, so me and my daughter both completed both trials. This is the last trial that my daughter did, and one thing that I learned about this program that's pretty cool after I hit the stat button is that you can narrow the data in with these little bookends. And so, like, for whatever reason, it's not picking up the initial 15 seconds, and it says it right in PLTW that this device doesn't really get accurate until after 15 seconds. You can eliminate those outlier type data points that you don't want in your collection. So that's what we did there. Copied and pasted, and I did have to stretch these out a little bit to make them fit on the page, but when you go through, feel free to move them back up and make them look normal. Make them as big as you want, because you'll have a copy of your own slide. You can do anything you want. I also compile the data in one page, and and you can see what I did here. First trial, 68 was my resting, and then my second trial, 71 was my resting. My daughter's similar. 95 was as high as I got the first time around. When I came back, my heart rate dropped. It only dropped to 78. I only got up to 92 the second time, and it dropped down to 74. Okay, so you can see it's the second time, for whatever reason. I don't know if I walked the same distance, I ended in the same spot, but for whatever reason, that's the way it worked out. Interesting note, with my daughter, the second time through, her return came down to 101 both times, and that's pretty close to her resting. So she started a little higher, 96, 98, and she returned pretty close to her resting heart rate after 3 minutes after exercise. 160 the first time, only got up to 142 the second time. So what can I tell you from this? Both of us got close to, in trial 2, to our resting heart rate, 71, 74, 98, 101. She did in both trials. So you could say our hypothesis was true, but you could also, you could even say that more trials are needed, or that the data is inconclusive. But, well, I'll let you determine that, because as the student, you're going to state and write the conclusion. And remember, you just restate the hypothesis with the results. Then you go through and talk about controls, things that you would do differently. Would you do more trials? Would you do a track? Would you do something that's consistent? Would you do it one after the next? Would you do different days? A lot of things that you could tweak to make this experiment better. All right, thank you. Hope everything goes well. Get these submitted back in your folders as soon as you can. Happy Easter.